Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sermondo Talks. I'm Christina, and I'll be speaking with Jana Krekic today, who's an Amazon listing translation expert. She runs her own agency and is also a pretty popular speaker at several events. So I would say let's just dive right in and see what she tells us. So I'm here today with Jana Krekic. She was born in Serbia. She's a very popular speaker at the moment, and she's the founder of YLT Translations. Good to have you here.
Hi, Christina. Great to meet you today.
In one sentence, what is YLT Translations?
YLT Translations is an Amazon dedicated translation service.
And how many languages do you personally speak, and how many languages do you offer for the translation services?
I actually come from a translator background. I have a translator background because I used to study, actually have bachelor's and master's in Scandinavian languages, which means that I speak Norwegian and Danish, and I speak German as well. We're not going to speak any German now, but English and Serbian, and I understand French. So I would say five languages, me personally. I don't do any translations at this point for YLT, but since I was working and living in Copenhagen in this Danish e-commerce, they were the leading Danish e-commerce, and that's where I learned a lot about Amazon. They have the 100,000 products over there, and I got really intrigued by how you can increase your revenue and your sales profit when you sell cross-border, when you go globally. So I decided to start my own business. I've always been interested in languages, and I just decided to train my translators so they know how to actually make good Amazon listings and how to get the best out of it, the keyword research and everything, because we usually
keyword research is included in yours?
Yes, keyword research is included, and unlike all other competitors, we don't have any word limit. So if you are a seller who has A plus content, or if you have just a 500 word listing, the price is absolutely the same. And everything is included. So keyword research, localization, we do optimization also as well. And all of our translators, which is really important, are not only native translators. Yes, they've been trained by me how to do a really good Amazon listing, but they come also from SEOs, or they come from the industry. So they're basically also marketers. So they also know what kind of language they use when they translate. I'm sure a lot of, the American style of like being like salesy listings, like amazing, fabulous product, that doesn't work so good in German.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make it, localize it and sound it a little bit different. And that's something that you should keep in mind when writing a listing. Sometimes you're not going to get absolutely the same listing, because that's what the localization is all about.
And how long has your agency been around for?
2 years.
And what were your personal reasons for becoming self-employed and not just working in another agency?
Yeah, well, I was working at this biggest Danish e-commerce for 8 years, and I kind of got fed up with my job, and I was not happy with. I was happy with the results, but I thought that I don't want to do this for anybody else. I thought that I might as well take my knowledge I have and just make it into my own thing. And I didn't go and copy this the business. I always wanted to have my own translations agency. So 2.5 years ago, I just decided to quit my 9-to-5 job and just start working something on my own. At that point, I had no idea what I want to do, but I was like, let's do something with languages. And then I was sitting at home, and it was the first time I haven't gone to office after 8 years. And that was my first actual job after university. And I was just like sitting at home, and I was in my pajamas for, I think, 30 days in a row. And I was getting kind of depressed because, like when you're used to going to the office and talking to people, you see somebody.
Yeah.
I lived alone at that point, and I did not see anyone. It was November, it was rainy. It was really, this was like the worst period for me, like in my life. And then at one point I was like, okay, I have to like, get a grip and be like, okay, like pull yourself together and start doing what you quit your work for. And then I just decided to call a couple of my friends from university across the world and to ask them, like, would they be interested in doing some translation work? So I first started as a regular translation agency. We still have the translation agency, which is a regular one. which is YLT-translation.net, and the com one is the Amazon dedicated one.
Okay.
I thought it would be much better idea because Amazon is such a great sales channel that I thought that we should definitely focus everything on Amazon and not on regular translations. So it all first started as a regular translations out of my love to languages and e-commerce and everything I've been through while working. And then I was like, okay, I should definitely do Amazon. Like there's some future in it. I checked my competitors. They all seemed so much ahead of me. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like, how do I, reach out? How do I get to people to know me? And I was really stressed and, I was not comfortable with reaching out to people. It was just, I don't know, like if they could like reach out to me, that would be amazing. But so basically that's why like we started 2 years ago, but I would say that actual first 7-8 months was just that we had this website and that was that. And I was a member of a couple of Facebook groups, as I'm sure a lot of people are. And I was just like posting and answering questions. And I'm like, well, maybe I can like force people to come to my website like this. And this is how I got my first clients, from these Facebook groups. And then basically we got some clients. They recommended us to other people. And one thing led to another. And there was like, hey, my friend, he has this web summit. He has the, and a lot of people don't talk about the topic of global expanding with the usage of translations. And I really like that topic. And people seem to not think about going internationally so often, but I really get some good response after like my presentations. People approach me and they're like, well, when you put it that way, like you did, I might as well try, some market. And I'm like, sure, well, that's why I just want to show people how they can make profit and get ahead of their competition this way. Because you never know if your product is going to be a good fit if you don't try. And especially because the German market is the biggest market. A lot of people don't know that, especially people from the States. And so I just definitely think that they should give it a shot. But I also understand, on the other hand, that people get really afraid because they don't know the language. There's a language barrier. But then, like, I think that the, if everything is like the service or, whoever you choose to work with is pretty transparent, they explain to you what is where, they mark things very clearly. I don't think that there should be any misunderstandings.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that's kind of like the spirit of Sermondo, that you can find local service providers from like everywhere. And yeah, this is also we always say our Polar Star, that people have the guts to just expand to other markets.
Yeah, exactly.
In general, what do you think makes a good translation firm? And what should Amazon sellers consider when they are searching for a good translation firm?
Well, first of all, I think that, of course, everybody can have a translation agency. That's not a problem. You can, the least is that you get and gather translations and translators. But I really think that you should, because I come from a translation background plus e-commerce, and I basically know how industry works and how everything can go wrong or right way. I just think that you should find like really native people. And I see a lot of translation services that offer prices which are pretty ridiculous. And I always invest in finding high quality people. So I would not ever hire somebody who is I don't want to offend anyone, but from other countries other than their native countries. And I really invest time into following up with everyone. We have like meetings once per week. I think you should always have this quality control. I know it takes a lot of time, but you should have a person who is in charge of the languages, the person who speaks languages, and as the quality controller role in the agency. And I really think that people should have enough time to translate, because if you get, for instance, I get a lot of inquiries from clients, and they ask me like, could you do this like in 2 days, or could you do it by the end of the day? Sometimes that might be possible if it's like 7 a.m. and like deadlines at midnight, but highly unlikely it's not going to be possible, because it really takes a lot of time to get a good translation and to do a really good keyword research. That also asks for a lot of time. So if you do like a regular translation from the source to the target language, you can do it like in a couple of hours, but keyword research plus incorporation of these keywords, we have some strategies we use where we want to use what keywords and how it reflect the results and, sales and everything. Also, we get those keywords are very important because a lot of them use them in their PPC campaign. So you don't want to get a wrong product to people. So what I think is most important are to have high quality people. And I think you should pay them good because then they're going to leave. And good people are really hard to find. So you should just cherish what you have. And to have a high quality by someone who actually knows what he's doing. So you have to have, like, for instance, we have a project manager for every language. And he does all the quality checks. And then at the end, everything comes to me. So I just give a final thought. And we send out the listings, and we do a lot of listings. So I really enjoy what I do. I'm really passionate about it. So I do still work a lot because a lot of people ask me, like, are you still like doing the operational work and stuff? I do the final quality checks, and I do once a week meetings with translators and the rest of my team, so that we are still on the same page. I really want the people to follow my vision and to understand what we're trying to do here. And it's really important to have people who are going to be on the same page as you are, because people tend to forget that very easily. Like every 3-4 weeks, they're just like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. And, I always like give good feedbacks from my clients. I always forward them to my team. And I just think that you should try to build a team that's going to be really into it as I don't know, 50% as much as you are as an entrepreneur.
When you say that you do like the final quality check, would you say that this is some sort of USP that your agency has, that the founder herself sits there and does the last check? And what other features does your agency have that makes you unique?
I think we're unique because we have 35 in-house translators, and they're here and they just work all the time for us. And that's pretty great because a lot of people were freelance, then they, quit their work or worked full-time at an office. They just like started working for us. So I just think that's super valuable because I think they really have a high quality team that's with us, that's been with us for about a year and a half. Like all the people have stayed with us for that amount of time. And yes, so the project managers, they check all of the listings when we gather them because we use one of our templates. And it's a really cool template. And what also makes us unique is that when we use this template, it's clearly written where your title, bullets, and product description, but we also mark the keywords we used in red. So it's pretty clear where we use the keywords, and you can easily understand what's used where. And also with the keyword database, we also mark what keywords we use from the database. So it's pretty straightforward. And even though you don't understand the language, you can check, in Helium 10 or whatever you can to see like what the keywords are important for the listing. So the next thing is it goes to the project managers. And then after that, I get the final word because I double check everything. And I try to see, maybe if there was some problems with the keywords or with the length or maybe the whole layout. Because I think it's really important to also mention that we literally tailor everything according to clients' needs. So if the client wants us to have a translation of images in PDF on the picture, we have designer who does everything on the picture. Some people don't need that, and then we just deliver it in Word text. And a lot of clients have different demands. And I really always want to make time and hop on a 15-minute call with a client and to ask him like, okay, so is this what you want? Like, can you tell me? Because I'm like video calls and calls in general are in favor because back and forth thing with emails, 15 emails, they're like, what are you talking about? I just like to it's a 10-15 minutes call. Like we can just walk while I'm on the street and while you're working at the gym. Like just, if we can just figure this out together. So that's also really important. And I always make time for clients or my project manager. We always have time to basically adjust everything that you need according to your own forms and procedures and everything. So we tend to follow that.
I guess you're working with clients from all over the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what do you expect from your clients? I mean, you say you take the time to get back to them and ask them if they're fine with everything. But of course, the client has also to contribute. He has to make clear statements and everything. What do you expect from your clients?
Well, the only thing, we don't actually have any major requirements, so it's pretty easy like how it works. And we just need, so depending from where you come from. So basically a lot of our customers, most of our customers come from the States, the UK and Germany. So if you're from Germany, we also do like translations from German to other European markets and Japanese and Mexican market. So we only need your listing, which might be active. So you can just give us a link to your English or German listing, or you can send that in a file. A lot of people send an Excel sheet and they just tell us, here's the text and do your work. And I just want to mention that a lot of people send us their keywords they used for their listing for their product. And that's something that is really not so relevant for us. I mean, it's a good guideline if you want to, okay, so this is what we should focus on, but every language has to have their own market research for the keywords. So it might happen that the keywords are the same when you just translate them as they are, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that they have the same actual phrase or the word order. So that's really not relevant for us. So basically, we just need your listing written in English or German, link to it, or the file you can send us in.
How do you resolve issues with your clients? Like, let's take the worst case and the client is not happy with your work. How would you resolve that?
Yeah, well, this is quite different than how I would resolve it like a year and a half ago, because a year and a half ago, I was so stressed when I get like bad emails. And of course, sometimes you really, you cannot like make everyone happy. You can just do the best you can. And, it's, there are different type of clients out there. So I would first get like super stressed and I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, here's like 50% discount. I'm terribly sorry. And then I'm like, well, why am I apologizing this much? Like, I should not be doing this. I should be saying, like, if I know that we did the best job, there's possibly, that could possibly be done. I could just say like, okay, well, here's what we did. Here are our arguments. And this is what we did. And I'm like, right now, I'm like taking it a little bit from a distance. I'm not taking that personally, because before it was like, I was taking it so personally, like I would like cry, but it's all about experience and how many times did you handle similar situations. And I handled a lot of those situations while I was working for this big e-commerce, but it's different when you work for yourself. And so he's like personally attacking your own company. So, there was absolutely no way for me not to experience that as a personal insult, But right now I would just, if there's something that we did wrong, or something that the client is not happy with, and he has the right to say that he would like something to be changed. We, of course, do 2 revisions per listing until the clients are happy, definitely. And if the client is, of course, client is always right, but, sometimes people can be really difficult. But at that point, I just decided that I'm not going to take it personally. And if I know that I'm right, I'm going to write them like, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your patience. But this is what we did. And I think this is good because, this and that. And from my experience, like when you explain someone very rationally what they're asking of you and what you delivered, they usually say, oh, really? I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. So it actually, results very nicely. It doesn't go into a conflict. I haven't had a conflict ever. I just had this like imaginary scenario, like what's going to happen. Like, if I just, say like, no, this is what we did. And, you should not act like that. But like once you get control and you write an email like that, and then you get an absolutely positive feedback, I'm like, okay, so this works. And this is how I'm going to manage things from now on.
So you personally take the time to resolve issues with your clients?
When sometimes my project manager cannot manage that, like she assigns me a ticket and then I take care of that, especially with some bigger sellers, because we work from 7 to 9 figure sellers. And then for some sellers, I want personally to take care of them, to give them our customer service at its best. And so it's, those like the VIP clients.
Another thing that I'm interested in is Amazon SEO is changing the whole time.
Yeah.
Similar to PPC, new rules, old rules, whatever, all gets mixed up. So how do you manage to keep track on that? Like, how do you inform yourself?
Well, I have a lot of really good friends from the industry, and we talk on daily or weekly basis. So I'm also part of a couple of masterminds as well, and but I would rely on my friends to say the most, because they're really big players in the industry. And then they would tell me like, hey, did you know this? Or also you can see that in Facebook groups. You don't have to have like I don't know, high influential friends to find out about the changes. Also, we talk a lot with the Amazon representative in Seattle as well. So we do have a lot of different sources on how do we get to know what's going to happen or not. But as I said, nobody knows for sure when they change anything, not even influencers, or you just like, wow, my reviews are gone. Like, what am I going to do now? And you're like, yeah, but they're back tomorrow morning. So, okay, maybe nothing changed here, So you can, you can get a lot of the, the boy who cried wolf situations. But you have to just like keep an eye on that, especially because, if we do a bad job with, like, let's say, I think there was like a situation like a month ago where I got like a very urgent email from my client saying like the Amazon's gonna shrink the titles to 50 characters, and like we have to do like everything. And I'm like, what? And then I contacted some people. They told me like, yeah, this is what we've heard. And then 3 days later, the story was completely like dropped. It was like, it's the same as it was. Yeah, nothing happens. And I'm like, okay, because like if we deliver listings which are not according to the TOS, listings are going to get banned, and you don't want that to happen to your client. So we really, really have to pay attention to what are the latest changes. We really have to keep up track with that all the time.
Yeah, I think
but you can never know this for sure. And
the only person that knows is Jeff, and he wants
exactly.
So okay, that would be it for the business part. Now I'm coming to the personal questions, which is my favorite part. What do you like least about your job?
Least? I've wanted to answer that. Yeah, sometimes I don't like that I have clients from different time zones. So I basically don't have a working the time. I work a little bit in the morning, but then like at 9 p.m., like when I'm out, dinner and stuff, I'm like, I have to go back to home. I have this meeting at 10:30 or like 11:30 p.m. And so that's basically the only thing that bothers me, because I don't have, let's say I decide to work from noon to 5 p.m. and like everything is here. And then I don't think about work the rest of the time. It's like I kind of carry my work with myself all the time. And that's something I've been struggling with. And I really want to take like 1 day or 2 days off completely offline and just like focus on myself, because I think that you can like burn out really easy, which I have experienced a couple of times. And then I take a break. I just think that on a regular basis, I should have like a regular break from work, and just kind of also set my boundaries, when it's okay to have clients, when it's not okay. And that's what I'm struggling with. And that's the thing I don't like.
Do you think this is your biggest challenge that you have to overcome, like finding the balance between work and your private life?
Yes, that's definitely one of my challenges. But the second challenge is working on my focus, because I lose focus a lot of times. And sometimes like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm just going to watch Netflix like the whole day today, like 15 hours. I just don't feel like doing anything. And, but, at this point when I have this like super fast growing business, I cannot act like that, as much as I want to, but I just need to find focus. And that's something I think you can train, and you can make yourself have more focus. And there are like different techniques and stuff. Like I've been recently listening to Sam Ovens, his monk discipline video. That's pretty brutal, but it's absolutely true. I've been reading some books, so I'm just trying to get myself in focus, like just, wake up in the morning, work out, meditate, and start work and just focus on that for 5 hours, not checking my phone or social media and stuff like that. And, like today I haven't done any of it. So, I think it's going to need some time for me to completely, focus on doing that. But I want to get better focus on work, and I want to kind of have the better balance between like work and life balance, and to say like, okay, this is like when my day ends. And especially because the previous year I've delegated so many tasks and operational stuff to the rest of my team. So now I have actually more time to dedicate to what is more important for my business, for, speaking conferences, podcasts, putting myself out there, other than just like taking care of basically everything. So I was really happy that I could actually delegate, that I decided to delegate my things, because like when you're a small business owner, you're basically doing everything. And then like when your business keeps growing, it outgrows you, and you have only 24 hours per day. And I was freaking out about like, well, who am I going to leave my business to? Like nobody's going to do the job as good as I do. I'm like, and then at that point I wanted to go to a vacation. First time after like a year and a half, and I'm like, okay, I have to go on a vacation, and I really cannot work over there, and I'm gonna leave this to my current project manager, and we'll see what happens. And I went there, I was like sweating like for first 2 days, and I'm like, you should relax, like seriously, like you should like smash it, because I brought my laptop, of course. I'm gonna smash this laptop, and I'm like gonna, I don't know, like pray to God that everything's gonna be okay. And everything worked fine.
Your business is still there.
I was really lucky and blessed to have Luna as my project manager, because she is the boss. She is absolutely great, like the best person you can imagine that's working for you. And nothing bad happened. And after that, I got the courage to kind of risk more and to just kind of go out there. Of course, I think it through, I just like, let's do it. But I learned that if you risk, you can get better things. Of course, not every time it works great, not even for me. But that learned me that, by letting go some things and delegating to others, it will be okay.
Yeah. You mentioned that you like to watch Netflix. I do too. What other hobbies do you have? Like, what do you do in your free time to just calm down and relax a little?
Yeah, well, I enjoy running, and I used to run half marathons. I haven't, honestly, I haven't run in past like 2 years, ever since I started the whole YLT thing, and I really want to get back in the game, because I was a really big fan of CrossFit like 7 or 8 years ago, and doing the half marathons. And I really think it's really, really important that you do like exercise on regular basis, that it becomes like a natural thing for you. So like these days I just going back to my exercise routine and to my running, because it really helps me relax, and I really kind of get into this like meditation state. Like when I run, I talk about, it's basically for me, it's like, like when you take a shower and you're like, oh my God, like I should do it, like big radical changes in your life happens in the shower. Well, that also happens for me like when I go running. So I enjoy running, and I also used to play the piano. I went to also musical high school. I played the piano for 12 years, so that's like also something which I enjoy. It's like also it has a really soothing effect. I should also do that quite more often than I do it right now, definitely. But yeah, I enjoy doing that, and I speak German, but I haven't spoken it for such a long time. I've been to Merchant Day in Hanover, and they invited me as a speaker next year. So I just decided to definitely brush on my German. So I just decided having a private tutoring again. So I still kind of learn German. So I also always enjoy German language as well.
If you need someone to practice with, I'm here.
Thank you. I'll think about it.
What would you say do you spend most of your money on?
Oh no.
Here it comes.
Well, okay. We're girls, right? We can talk about this.
Yeah.
Well, most of my money goes on expensive bags and shoes. That's it. I'm as superficial as it gets. That's it. And it was really hard for me to understand that I have to invest money in my business. So basically this year, I've actually spent most money on my business, investing in people and conferences and travels. But my guilty pleasure are, bags and shoes. That's
bags and shoes. That's a classic. But
Yeah, exactly. Like makeup, but makeup is not that, that expensive,
but it's worth it.
it's worth it. Yeah.
Now to my favorite questions of all of them. If you could hire any famous person in this whole world, who would that be and why?
To do what?
To work for you. It could be your boss, your colleague, or an employee or freelancer. You can work with any famous person.
Okay. I would like to work with this Sam Alvins I was talking about. He is a true inspiration. He's just wow. And second person I would like to work with is Keanu Reeves. He is the best person out there. And I would think that he would make such an amazing addition to my team with his kind of he's so humble but genuinely good person, and he would be an absolute spokesman for the brand. So I might just reach out to him after this interview.
And everyone just loves Keanu Reeves.
Exactly. So he would be like he would be a good agency image to present with and to take him together to the conferences and stuff.
Perfect. Can you name 3 tips that you would give to any Amazon seller out there?
Okay, tip number 1, which I've seen happens a lot. You always have to have a lot of products in your stock and never underestimate yourself, because what happens is that PPC guys, they do a really good job, and then when it comes to Prime Day, you don't have anything left in stock, and that kind of blocks your sales and everything. That happens to so many people. So I would say that you should not underestimate yourselves and always have that stock really full and think very optimistic, because in a lot of times if you have the whole thing running, if all the pieces of the puzzle are there, I think you're going to be out of stock in no time, and then that's going to be a major problem for you. So I would say keep in mind on stock.
Good.
Number 2 is never translate the keywords you have from English to other languages, because a lot of people do that, and that's why you get wrong keywords. You don't get ranked for listings you want to. You waste time, you waste money, and you use wrong keywords in your PPC campaigns. So we're basically talking about like 6 months of wasted money and time, and especially if you're entering a new market, it takes like even more time if you make these mistakes. And number 3 is going to be, it's going to be that you should definitely try out new markets. Like definitely to not be afraid of, not trying or staying at your home country market. But you just have to do keyword research, really, and research of the market. So that's number 3. You have to know what the market wants, because Japanese market, German markets, UK market, they're all like really big markets, but you don't want to make a mistake about not doing the market research, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what happened to Dolce & Gabbana when they wanted to sell something on Chinese market. Yes. With that really interesting commercial with the Asian person eating pizza with the chopsticks. So they banned their merchandise over there. Or for instance, like Kim Kardashian, she wanted to launch her shapewear laundry, and she called them kimono, and then the Japanese government got really upset about it, and she had to change the name of the product, and it's like there's like so many things that you have to think about. But if you do the keyword research and the market research the right way, I think you can just only gain from the whole thing.
Yeah. Very good tips. I only know the example of a car. I think it was Hyundai, and they called it La Puta or something, which we forget in some countries.
Yeah.
In Spanish countries, this model was not really one of the popular ones. So,
oh my God.
Listen to this woman.
That's hilarious.
My last question would be if you have any free resources like blogs, podcasts that you read on the regular or listen to that you can recommend.
Yes. So I would like to, so you mean podcasts or?
Just anything that you watch or listen to. Yeah,
well, I really like, I have the Morning Brew blog that I like to listen to. I mean, they to read. They send newsletters every day, and those are interesting tips and facts and some just interesting stories from the business world. And they also have a lot of things about Amazon. that one. And I also like to read Skimmed. It's also about similar content of like business wise, but it also sometimes talks about Amazon. I also like to read about e-commerce news. It's not the first two blogs are pretty kind of funny and written with a little bit of sarcasm. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And, but the e-commerce news has like really like top information about all the markets out there, and that's really important for me because they also had one of the first that introduced Amazon United Arab Emirates, that they're going to do the Amazon launch, and how other markets are being placed on that top chart. And so it really helps me because it's really important, because we do European markets, we do global expansion with listings, so it's really important for me to keep track with that. And when it comes to podcasts, I don't actually listen to podcasts. The only one that I actually like is the Danny McMillan's Seller Sessions, and that's about it. I'm not a fan of audio things. I'm just a visual type, and I always like to read a book or to read a blog other than listen to podcasts. They are really super popular when it comes to Amazon world, but I'm just not into podcasts as much. And a lot of people tell me, like, you should listen to this, you should listen to that. There's like that AM and FM from, I think, Manny Coates, his podcast. That's really good. I listened to a couple of episodes, but again, I don't have anything which I regularly follow. Right now I'm reading a book called Attraction. I think a lot of people know about it. And the last book I read, it was like my third time I'm reading it. It's from the Napoleon Hill. Get Rich, oh my god, I forgot the whole name of it, like the Get Rich, not fast, but I forgot the name of it, but Napoleon Hill, it's the holy bible of the whole entrepreneurial universe. And I really like that book. I'm more into like something which is going to be like a guideline for you how to do stuff, other than like reading a motivational self-help book, like do it. So I really like more books which are like a handbook to do something, or books which have case studies, so I can actually try and see, how it works, and I have like this model, how it happened and stuff. I'm more into practical things, basically.
Yeah, I have to say. Okay, perfect. Are there any other things that you want to get out before we finish the interview?
Well, that's basically it. People should go out there and try everything they can. And I always like to give an example of David Hasselhoff. Actor turned singer in the States, and basically nobody knows about his singing career. But in Germany, he was an actual superstar. And, he was singing at the opening of the Berlin Wall, looking for freedom song and everything.
He claims that he's the reason that the wall fell.
Well, so he did good. Well, he did good, actually,
Yeah, he did.
So David Hasselhoff is an example of very good product launch. He never knew he was going to be that popular until he tried it. So be more like David Hasselhoff and not like Dolce & Gabbana. That's my final tip.
I love this. I think I might get like a tattoo for my wall that says exactly that. Okay, perfect. And thank you for being on our show. It was a pleasure talking to you. And thanks for all the insights. I'm sure our users enjoyed it. And have fun in Hong Kong.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was absolutely great to just sit and chat about, I really enjoyed this because it was not so formal, chat, because a lot of people have like, okay, these are like the questions and stuff, and nobody asks you anything about, like, is it hard, how it is, what are, like, how did you feel? And I really like this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that was it for today. That was a lot of information, a lot of useful advice that you can apply to your own business. If you're interested in Jana's agency, I put the link in the description. You can find her agency and hundreds of other service providers from any category on Sermondo.com. They are all specialized in working with Amazon FBA businesses like yours. So check it out, and I'll see you guys for the next interview.